back to the YouTube channel of Pro Enzo Vids, and this is my round 11 tips for the NRL for 2022. This week's Indigenous round, so Indigenous round's a very important round of football. Obviously represents the game so many ways with how many players we've had that are Indigenous culture play for our games. So it's a very important round for sure, recognising those cultures and just in general how big it is, the Indigenous community and stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to be a good round of footy, I think. I'm looking forward to many of the games this week. Going to be some blockbusters, and I'm keen for it. But before I start, currently on 1,940 something subscribers, so hopefully I can get to, at least 1,950, so I'm halfway to 2k, and as you guys know, I'm already trying to build to 2k, so getting to 2k by at least next 2 weeks at least, that would be pretty huge if I can get this. So it does help if you subscribe to the channel. So yeah, that's all I gotta say really. Just hopefully you guys enjoy the video, and yeah, this is my round 11 tips. So to start off with, it is the Broncos and the Knights. So Broncos and Knights at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle for the Thursday night, 7:50 PM. So a very interesting game and a very interesting matchup for one of these players against their old club, and that is Anthony Milford, former Broncos player who's been there since, or who was there since 2015 to 2021, just last year. So seeing him just come back in the game and seeing him actually make his first appearance back in the game since late last year against the Broncos too is very coincidental, and I think it's gonna be very interesting. So looking at how both sides line up, the Knights have some big inclusions with Tyson Frizzell back in the team, so that's going to help. And like I said, Milford's named at 5'8". So yeah, Milford replaces Tex Hoy in the halves, while which means Tex Hoy does move back to 18th man, and Dane Gagai and Jay Clifford are in reserves, and they could be late inclusions. They're clear to play from there, well, one being injury, one from suspension. Not suspension, sorry, being dropped. That was Clifford. As for the Broncos, T. Murray Martin has been named at fullback despite concerns over a hip injury. That means if he's out, Cobbo, who's in training at fullback actually, just in case, has been touted to play fullback this week. So don't be surprised if he's going to play fullback against Newcastle. Payne Haas and Kirk Capewell got through last week's game against Manly, so that'll be fine. But who am I going to tip? I'm going to tip Broncos. I think Brisbane are in good form, and I think they will only keep that winning streak of 5 going. So I think Broncos by about 10. And anytime try scorers for Newcastle, I reckon Daniel Saifidi is going to score any time. And for the Broncos, well, since he's scoring every week nearly, I think Cowboys will score. Now on to the first game of 2 on the Friday. It is the Tigers and the Bulldogs up against each other at Leichhardt Oval at 6 PM. So not a very good looking game, but let's hope it's good to some extent. Before I start, there is some breaking news, and I'll make a separate video about this after. That is Brent Naden, who played for the Bulldogs, was touted as one of their bigger and better signings for this year. Well, he hasn't lasted that long. He's signed with the Tigers actually effective immediately. I think this is because of Barrett's sacking, and maybe this is why Naden left, because the way they treated Barrett, I'm not sure. So he's left and he's joined the Tigers, and he's been named on the reserves actually. So he could even play against the Bulldogs this week, which I don't believe he will, because that's 4 days after he left the Bulldogs. So I can't see it happening, but far out, that'd be something if he does play. Anyway, going through the team. So looking at the Tigers team, they've obviously Naden's in the jersey 21, the CD player. So that's he's in reserves. Naden, Jock Madden is new 5'8" this week with Luke Brooks being injured. Asu Kepa Owa with COVID, who missed last Sunday against the Cowboys, returns to the centres with Luke going back to the back row, and Kelman Tulangi gets dropped to the bench. Jacob Little comes in a hooker to replace Jake Simpkin after a head knock. And New Brown will make his club debut for the Tigers. Wow. So New Brown used to play in the NRL, and he's going to make his club debut for them as well. So first game since 2019. So New Brown gets his former club, the Bulldogs too. Alex Sayafaf and Junior Powergo drops off to the bench. And Zane Musgrove has been named despite suffering a peg injury, while Gilda and Makala have both been listed among the reserves. As for the Bulldogs, Jake Averill has been recorded in the centres after Naden exiting the club. Corey Waddell will miss the match after copying a heavy head knock, so that means Jackson Toppany will start in the back row, while for Tyler Mariner is named in reserves and could be a late inclusion. Right, my tip for this game could literally go either way, but because Dogs have more drama, I think Tigers will win. Tigers by 6, I don't know. Anytime trial scorer, probably Kepa. And for the Bulldogs, I don't know. I reckon, yeah, why not? Adokar. Now, the main game on the Friday is the Eels versus the Sea Eagles at Combank Stadium in Parramatta. Not looking forward to this. 7:55 p.m. is kickoff, so I'll just go through the Parramatta's team quickly. Murray Niokora is returning from an injury, so he starts with Bryce Cartwright pushing to reserves, which means Madison has earned a start at lock. And that means Nathan Brown goes to the bench, which is very interesting. And Micah Sevo, who's named on reserves, could be a late inclusion, but he may not be, but we'll see, from an ACL injury. So he's there among about the team. As for Manly, Tom's been cleared to play, so he'll be all right despite that knee injury. Ben is out with a shoulder injury, which means Morgan Harper gets a recall to the centres, and Josh Schuster is finally back after a calf injury. So he comes on the bench, and that means Davey will go to the starting side with Bullimore dropping out. I'm not looking forward to this. I look seriously, I'm being honest, I'm not looking forward to this. I think Manly are going to lose, and this is the first time I'm tipping against Manly this year. And you know what? I'm tipping against our rivals too. So I'm tipping Parramatta, who's our biggest rivals, and a club I don't really like too much, obviously because of the rivalry, which makes sense. But that hurts. It really hurts tipping Parra, our biggest rivals, probably against us. So Parra by 6, I reckon they'll beat us. Can't trust Manly anymore with the bigger teams. I think last couple of weeks was the final straw against South and Sharks. That just goes to show that Manly aren't ready to compete with those bigger sides yet. So, yeah, Parra by 6. Anytime try to score, Gufferson get a double on his 150th game. And for Manly, because he's in good form, I think Tuipolotu will score a try too. On to Super Saturday now. It is the first game of 3. It is the Dragons versus the Warriors at the Strata Jubilee Oval there in Cogra, starting at 3 p.m. So, yeah, it's another flip of a coin sort of game because this can really go either way. But looking at both sides now, Cody Ramsey is going to start fullback for this week after Tyrell Sladen's poor performance against the Titans, which means also Jack Guzieski is going to start in the back row, replacing Josh Maguire with a groin injury. And Francis Mollo's younger brother, Michael Mollo, apparently has been doing really well in their New South Wales Cup. He'll make his NRL debut from the bench, so I'll be looking forward to making a video on his debut. For the Warriors, Tohu Harris moves into the starting side after making his return last week, and that means Ewan Aiken has been named to start in the back row for this week from a concussion. Aaron Penner goes to the bench, and Jesse Arthurs with a shoulder injury and Harris DeVito groin have both been named among the reserves, so it could be a late inclusion if they do play. So, and also Joseph Argus' 100th game. Right, my tip for this game, it's a very tough one to call. I don't know where to go on this one, but I'll tell you what, I'm actually going to go with the Warriors here. I think the Warriors can win. If the Dragons win, I look like a complete idiot. But I think just because, the Dragons look a little bit weaker now in their forwards, and the Warriors look a bit stronger with having, Harris back for another week, Aiken coming in as well. So, I don't know. I think they're a bit better balanced at the moment, the Warriors. So, I'll go Warriors by about 2. Anytime try scorers, probably Lomax will score 1, and I think Reece Walsh and a bit of a roughie, I think Murchie will score. Now, on to a very interesting game. It's one that's going to decide where the Cowboys in particular are at, and just where, I guess, they stand on things, because they've had a very good start to the season. They've been very consistent, so this is going to indicate a lot on how they go. So, this means the Cowboys are taking on the Storm at 5:30 p.m. at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. It's going to be a very good game. I'm looking forward to it. Big challenge. All right, going for the Cowboys team. The Cowboys are on a 5-game winning streak. They've named the same 17 again, so they've got no changes this week. As for the Storm, Jerome Hughes has been named the halfback, so I'm guessing he will be fit to play this week, which means Cooper Johns moves back to reserves, and Brandon Smith moves from bench to prop, so he starts at prop with Nelson being out with a knee injury, which means Alec McDonald and Dean Aramiah are the new faces on the bench with Chris Lewis dropping out. So they're the only changes there for both sides, but look, I know it's tempting to tip the Cowboys, and I really want to tip the Cowboys, but I don't know. I'll tip Storm, but by 1 to 12. I think Storm by probably 8 points. I think it'll be very tight. It will be a very tight game. And, you know, I just want to say quickly as well, I wouldn't be surprised if Cowboys win. The way they're going, they have all the momentum and confidence, and Storm are still missing some players, so it's going to take a lot out of them. But because Hughes is back, and I think that's going to help them a lot, you know, get a bit of control going. So Storm by 8, anytime try scorers. I'm going to go Holmes, and I'm going to go Nanai for the Cowboys. As for Storm, probably going to go Coates for a double, and I think Harry Grant will score anytime as well. Now on to the very last game of round 11 for Super Saturday. It is the Roosters and the Panthers taking on each other at the SCG at 7:35 p.m. So again, a very interesting and tough game to call. Obviously, Roosters haven't been the best this year, and Panthers have been a bit better. But after how Roosters have been going the last 2 weeks, they could be finding some momentum again. So, you know, it's going to be obviously a very good contest. So, look, going through both sides, Roosters have Victor Radley out for 8 weeks apparently, so that's a very big loss to their side. With Nat Busher now at lock, with Lindsay Collins been named on the interchange in his return from suspension. And at hooker, Connor Watson's name to start there again, but might swap in game day with Drew Hutchison like that did happen last week. As for the Panthers have the same 17 as last week too. So, look, I think this is a very tough game to pick, actually. But because of Panthers and the way they're going, I think they'll win just by about 4 points. I'm pretty confident the Roosters will be up for this one. But I will go Panthers by 4. Anytime trial scorers, Tedesco and Suwali. As for Penrith, I believe Toto will score with Tago. Yep, I'll go that. Alright, on to Sunday now. It is the Rabbitohs and the Raiders taking on each other at Apex Oval in Dubbo. So this is where I think Souths take occasional games there to Dubbo. So yeah, looks like it would be a very nice afternoon too, from what it's forecasted to be. So yeah, will be a good game too. Looking at Souths' team, Jacob Host is out, so that means Trent Peoples, who made his debut a couple of weeks ago, will start in the back row, which is good to see. And Jaime Sele is included in reserves, and he could make a way back from a calf complaint. As for Canberra, Jack White returns from a 2-game suspension, which means Brad Schneider is the man to make way. And yeah, White starts in the halves with Frawley. And also, Zach Wolford starts again at hooker with Adam Elliott named as 18th man. And Papali will play his 250th game. That's good. That's a good achievement for Papali. Yeah, my tip for this game, it's not an easy one to call after how Canberra play against the Sharks, but again, you can't always trust Canberra, I don't think. So this is why I'm going to tip Souths by about 10 points. My anytime try scores for them will be Campbell Graham and Tane Milne. And for Canberra, I like Papali. Papali's scoring his 250th game. And I think also Sebastian Kris will score. On to the very last game that closes out round 11. It is the Titans and the Sharks on Sunday, the main game out of 2. So this is played at CY Super Stadium on the Gold Coast at 4 p.m. So going for the Titans team, looks like they've named the same 17 as last week after their very good win over the Dragons in extra time. So yeah, they've got no changes actually. As for the Sharks, they've got a lot more changes, and they've got a couple. So Nico Hines goes back to halfback, which means Lachlan Miller, who was the recruit from Rugby Union in the off-season, or no, Rugby Sevens, I mean, from the off-season, sorry. He will come and play fullback and make his NRL debut there. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Lachlan Miller goes. Yeah, Brayden Trindle drops out because of Hines moving back to halfback and will partner with Matt Welling again. Dale Finucane is out with a head knock injury, so that means Royce Hunt replaces him at starting prop with McInnes going to lock. And Wayne Graham has been promoted to start with Teague Wood in the back row. And Fafita plays his 200th game. My tip for this game, I think the Sharks will be a bit too good. They should bounce back after their loss against Canberra. It was a very bad loss, probably their worst one this year. So I expect the Sharks to turn around and win by about 16 points. Anytime trial scorer is probably Jane Campbell for 1, and I think also AJ Brimson will score 1. And as for the Sharks, Lachlan Miller will score in debut, and I think Katoa will get a double. But everyone, that's my tips for round 11 of the NRL. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your thoughts. I'll comment your tips for actually for round of footy ahead. So thanks for watching. See you in the next video.